It's a lot, guys. It's really a lot. I just have to take down wine so that I can have strength to talk or to speak with you guys. Okay, so don't touch that dial. Keep on. Hi guys, hi beautiful people. You're welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today is the almighty evaluation of the African continent or the African contestants in yesterday's preliminary competition. Okay, yes, Mr. and Miss Supranational competition was held yesterday. That's the prelims was held yesterday, and of course, like I said, or in my usual fashion, I usually evaluate the performances of the African countries and who I think will place in the finals. Okay, so if you want to watch or if you're interested in watching this video, don't touch that dial. Keep on watching, evaluating the Mr. and Miss Supranational performances so far in the competition leading up to the finals. Like I said, I might not really film another video before the finals. Okay, finals is on Friday, and today being Wednesday is the national costume competition. So I don't think I might have a lot of time to film my, talk about the performances so far in the competition. So let me start with Mr. Supranational Nigeria. So far, so good. He was really doing well, leading to the preliminary competition. But I would say during the top model, I was not really a fan of his work. It was just so fast, and I don't really know if he trained very well, for the top model competition, because at some point I was like, why is he working like a robot? Okay. And another thing again I would say is that he's on a big side, and I think he would have try and shed some weight before this competition, because of course this is not like manhunt where they show themselves and all that. This is more like a subtle male pageant competition. Okay, so it's not where they go and show muscles and all that. He would have been able to reduce a bit before the competition, but at the same time I'm so happy that he won the most photogenic during the prelims. And so far so good. He has been doing very well leading up to the prelims, but I was not really a fan of his suit during the formal wear. I thought he would have done better, being the fact that he's on the big side, would have won something more fitted. Okay, and so far so good. He has been topping the charts. Okay, so let's see what happens on the finals. I'm really looking forward to what he's going to do, what they're going to do, how well he's going to perform in the finals. I hope he places, but at the same time, I don't know why the chaperones are not there in Poland to support, our representatives. Madam Juliet Hagerman, Mr. Guy Bruce of Silverbed. Why are they not there to support our queens and our kings? I don't know why they did not travel to Poland. I was expecting them to be in Poland to do the needful, but at the same time, it's a pity that they don't have that much support over there in Poland. Now going to Miss Supranational Nigeria Gift Inda, I was a bit disappointed with her because I felt like she had a lot more time than Mr. Supranational Nigeria. She had about 7 months to prepare for the pageant, and her evening wear was very underwhelming. And going to the competition, going to the prelim, she was the favorite from the African region. Okay, she has been topping the charts as well, and to come out in that kind of evening wear, to me it was a bit disappointing. I just hope that she makes it to the top 20 on the finals day. That is my prayer for them, and hopefully let's see what happens at the end of the day. Say that the performances of the African countries in the preliminary competition was a little bit disappointing for me, because most of the front runners that I had in my list did not perform up to expectation. Okay, to my expectation. And I think it's not only me that had this reservation. I'm sure that a lot of my subscribers over here would had the same reservation. But if you have a contrary opinion, please comment down in the comment section. But for me personally, I think that the prelims was a little bit underwhelming for me. And in terms of the standouts at this point, the African continent is kind of open, and anybody can take the continental title at this point. Okay, so let's just say it's an open book. Okay. All right, so I'm starting off with Miss Cote d'Ivoire. In the swimsuits, I would say it was average, but her evening wear, I wasn't really a fan of the design on the down part of it. It wasn't really good at all. I'm not really a fan of it, because I'm like, why is why is the down part of it so busy? I'm not really a fan of the color combination as well. It was not, I would I'm not really a fan of her evening wear, but her swimsuit was just average. Now, for Miss Ghana, her evening wear was I loved it. I loved the beading, the whole, styling of the evening wear. I loved it a lot. But her swimsuit, she was kind of a bit fast. I don't know why she was just too fast in her swimsuit. But I think I loved her evening wear better than that of Cote d'Ivoire. Now, Miss Namibia, wow, I loved her swimsuit, but I wasn't really a fan of this fringe evening wear. It was just too busy for my liking, and I expected a lot from Namibia. She was one of the persons that really disappointed me because, of course, she's a front runner from the African region, and coming out with that kind of fringy gown, I wasn't really, I was not really, I was not really a fan of that gown at all. On her. I felt like she would have done better, than what she did. Those fringe were just too much for her. She has been one of my front runners, and she disappointed me. Like, seriously. All right, so that's it for Namibia. The next person here is Nigeria. Nigeria was another disappointment for me. Disappointing for me. I was not really expecting this kind of design because she had a lot of time to prepare for the competition, and for her to come out in that evening wear. In fact, I was sort of wet yesterday when she came out, and I'm like, is this what you designed in the past 7 months or 8 months that she was crowned? I wasn't really a fan of the gown. I thought, the one she wore in her portrait, they were, in fact, the portrait of the African countries, like the gown portrait of the African countries, the ones that most of them wore, they were better than what they wore during the prelims yesterday. And I preferred Nigeria's portrait gown to this particular one she wore for the prelims. It was not really flattering on her. It looked shabby, but her swimsuit was okay. I loved her swimsuit performance, but I think that the evening wear was underwhelming, and at this point. Now, next candidate we have is next on our list is Miss Sierra Leone. Just average. The swimsuit and the evening wear was just average. I loved the pink gown on her. It looked beautiful. It looked divine. Then Miss South Africa. I was not really a fan of what South Africa wore during the evening. A fan of what South Africa wore during the evening wear segment. I don't understand the gown. She was not really able to walk well in that gown. The gown just made her look like she was just walking on eggshells. but her swimsuit was okay. But the gown, it didn't flatter her at all because she was not able to walk well. Then Tanzania did it for me. Tanzania slayed both in the swimsuit and the evening wear. In fact, I think Tanzania had the best evening wear from the African region. I loved it very well. I loved the way she carried that evening wear. In fact, she did it for me. Tanzania was the best, in the preliminaries from the African region, both in the swimsuit and the evening wear. Tanzania slayed both rounds, and I think, she's going to place in the finals. Okay, I see a spot for Tanzania in the finals, and of course she has been doing very well in other sub competitions as well. All right, so another disappointment was Zambia. Being the top model, I was thinking, oh, she's going to come out with this. Anyway, she did very well in the swimsuit, but the evening wear, I thought she would have done better in terms of the choice of gown, because that gown was not really flattering on her at all. The color wasn't flattering on her, but anyway, I would give her, she just tried. She tried on both rounds, but the gown, she would have done better with the gown. Last but not the least is Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe did it for me in the evening wear. I loved the red gown on her. Her swimsuit performance was just okay, but the gown was beautiful. I think she's the second best in evening wear from the African region. Looking at, the performances of the other African countries, I would say, Zimbabwe, did very well as well. All right, so yeah, my thoughts on the performance of the African country in general. Like I said, I was a bit disappointed with the choice of gown. I thought, the one they wore during the portrait was far more better than what they wore during the prelims. For me, overall, the best performance goes to Tanzania. She's my number one best performance from the African region, followed by Zimbabwe, and of course, Zambia came in third place, Nigeria in fourth place, and that's just it. Just these are my top four from the African region. I would say that going forward, like I said, it's still open. The Continental Crown is still open. Any of these ladies can take it, and I wish them the very best going into the finals. Let's see what is going to happen on that day. But of course, today is the national costume. I will try as much as possible to see if I can come back to review that. But these are my standouts from the African region so far. What do you think about it? Okay, comment down below on your thoughts on the performances of the African countries, and I'll see you all in my next video coming up very soon. Bye.